Hello and welcome to Reggie'sTake.com, podcast number 13. This could almost be thought of as really my third part of my Star Wars special. Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars The Force Awakens and a little bit towards the end about the upcoming 2016 movie season, which there are quite a few movies out. First of all, introduce my pseudo co-host, James, who's once again returning.
Hi.
Welcome.
So this one could really be considered Return of the Podcast. Or it could also be called Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, either way. Happy New Year. You guys, you have a nice holiday season?
Yeah, I did actually. Little family stuff and a lot of drinking, which is like my thing.
Well, if you're hanging out with family, you've got to drink.
Yeah, afterwards.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Now, I haven't seen that movie yet.
Yeah, you show me someone who hasn't seen it yet, and
Is that the movie with the dinosaurs?
No.
Oh,
this is the movie that kicked the
dinosaurs'
ass. And is about ready to kick James Cameron's little blue people's ass.
Oh, wow.
At least domestically in the U.S.
That is really interesting to me. That
can you believe that? Can you believe that? As of this recording, it has added.
I liked Avatar, but I've kind of forgotten about it over the years. But
it's been so long since he's done anything of those movies.
Well, and it wasn't really I thought it was a decent movie, but it wasn't really my thing.
As of this moment, Star Wars: Force Awakens has taken in domestically $740 million, and should easily pass Avatar sometime this upcoming week of this recording, which would make it the number one all-time movie in the U.S.
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. I think everyone knew this movie was going to be successful right out of the gate, but I don't think anyone knew it was going to be this successful just in the first 2 weeks of its theatrical run. I mean, no one saw this coming.
Oh.
And I think this movie legitimately has a chance of beating Avatar worldwide.
So was Avatar number one?
Worldwide, yes. Actually, James Cameron has the number one and number two movies worldwide.
Titanic is
Avatar and Titanic.
Okay, I was still thinking Titanic was okay. So Avatar beat Titanic. Okay.
Mm-hmm. James Cameron's got the smug 1 and 2. So I hope Disney and Lucasfilm takes him down.
Yeah, screw you, James Cameron.
So, how many times have you seen the movie?
Twice.
Twice? So
Twice. I thought it was really good. I'm probably going to see it again.
Just to start off on a little bit of a different note here, I printed something out. I just kind of thought this was funny in the same sense this guy must be just an idiot. This is a comment off one of the websites I troll.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
I love how you troll the trolls.
Yes.
This probably isn't a troll. This is probably just a weirdo.
Yes, but this is what he posted. The problem with this movie, Force Awakens, is that they are all presented in such a cavalier way. You're automatically just supposed to know what to look for. So much was left on the cutting room floor that the film feels choppy and incomplete. It's 2.5 hours crammed into 2 hours and 7 minutes. All that stuff about the Republic and resistance and grand peace treaty should have been in this fucking film. JJ made an enjoyable film but left all the world to building to comic books and other material. This makes the film a failure as part of the saga. Whatever.
Isn't that just how the first Star Wars was?
Yeah, okay. He goes on. This was a garbage movie with extremely predictable plot and no surprises.
I thought you said it was entertaining. Now he's calling it garbage?
Yes.
Which is it, buddy?
Just like all the recent Disney/Marvel movies, I really hope Disney doesn't acquire any other companies. They are turning the film industry into a big pile of dump. I think he was trying to be nice. Basically, he means shit. This was a triumph in marketing. That's it. Disney movies have become a formulaic. You're almost waiting for the song number to pop up at any time, like the cartoon Disney movies. Utterly pathetic.
It was just like the old ones.
Oh, my God.
So basically what you're saying is that there are people on the internet who will whine and bitch
no matter
about
anything. What they do.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed the movie.
I did, too.
Now I will say...
Can you nitpick? Because I sure can.
Well, I can nitpick a little bit, too. But what I was going to say was to start... Does The Force Awakens have a little bit of a New Hope feel in structure? Yes.
I would almost say that it's almost a remake in some ways.
Some people have claimed that he did nothing but a shot-for-shot remake, which I disagree in that one.
I think it was on purpose.
I think it has a New Hope feel.
On purpose.
It has a New Hope feel,
yeah.
But after the way the prequels have been perceived since the prequels have ended 10 years ago, Disney and Lucasfilm made an obvious strategic decision to make a quote fan film regardless of structure or plot, and it worked.
Yeah.
No matter what you think of how they structured or the plot of the movie, it worked because the box office numbers is showing it's worked. Because if it didn't work, we'd still be talking about, oh, well, where's all the numbers? How come this movie isn't successful?
They made a fan film. Like, that's all Star Wars ever was. Like, you don't go to Star Wars and think, wow, that really makes me think about the plight of the Nigerians. No, like it's just like stupid, wholesome fun. Like that's all Star Wars has ever been. Like they're good stories, but I mean,
now that they've done this with The Force Awakens, they should open up with hopefully go in a little bit of different direction. Hopefully they don't copy anything of formulaic of Empire.
Yeah,
I would hope not.
That would be bad.
That would not be necessarily a good thing.
Well, and I think also, I will say, with J.J. Abrams only doing one movie, that's a good sign. Because J.J. Abrams with Star Trek, I feel like with the first one, it was like, yes, awesome. And it's like, yeah, screw you, Trekkie fans who don't like it, whatever. This is awesome. Second one, it's like, this is good, but maybe we do need to kind of branch out.
A little bit.
Yes. So I think the thing about Abrams is he's really good at starting them, and then after that, like he's really good at setting it up and starting it. But then you need other people to come in.
And I think that's what Disney.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But
I think that's what Disney's trying to do because now you get. I don't remember who's doing the second movie for them.
I don't either.
I think it's the guy who did Godzilla, isn't it?
I don't
know.
But
I know it's Colin Trevor who did Jurassic World is doing episode 9.
Is he?
So they've got both those directors had inputs to those scripts.
No.
So you've gotten you're going to have 3 different directors with 3 different inputs. According to Lucasfilm and Disney, the storylines are already pretty much set for 8 and 9. It's just with whatever director inputs they want to add or take away from the movies, which is fine. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with this. I really liked the characters of Rey and Finn. I thought I really liked the idea of having a quote stormtrooper decide, this ain't for me.
I did too.
This ain't for me. Screw this.
That they even when I was a kid, I always thought like, and the point of the stormtroopers was to look cool and for the audience not to think about them when they get killed. They have a mask, so you don't think, oh, that poor guy. You never think that.
No.
Even when I was a kid, I was like, I wonder who's behind the mask. And then with the
prequels, you got a little bit
like, oh, are they clones? And even that, like, I think that was George Lucas's way of like being like, no, these aren't like farm kids like joining the military. They're just clones. And that's kind of more messed up because it's like, so they've been created, bred, and harvested just for war. That's kind of messed up.
If you listen closely at one point during The Force Awakens, when
bring up
when Kylo Ren talks to General Hux, he's like, well, maybe Snoke or whatever would be better off with going with clones.
Yeah.
So it's like they've obviously gotten away from clones, but there's that idea of that's in their mind because it sounds like now they're just stealing people and saying, yeah, here you go, you're going to be.
That also means that in the original trilogy, after the prequels, it always felt like, well, I guess all the stormtroopers in the original trilogy were clones, but now it's like not necessarily.
Clearly.
We don't know.
No,
we don't know.
We don't know what happened during that 20 years.
Who knows? Maybe there was a clone virus. That's what. But I would like to say that. I think that story's almost too smart for Star Wars, but
but I like the fact that you had a stormtrooper decide, I'm not going to play for this side. I want to play for the other side, and that was a different twist for Star Wars.
Well, he wasn't even going to play for the other side. He just wanted to leave.
Right. He wanted to get as far away from the Resistance as possible. Yeah. It's interesting to see where that character goes. Rey's character, Daisy Ridley's, is interesting as well.
Very.
I mean, she's kind of got at this, and there's a lot of speculation of who her parents are, which we'll get to here in a little bit. Yeah, I thought the movie was excellent from start to finish. Yeah, I did like the one part when they're talking about in the Resistance headquarters, and they're all around the table. Oh, well, this was the Death Star, picks it up, and Harrison Ford is Han Solo. So it's just bigger. It's got to be a way of blowing it up.
Yeah. If I am going to nitpick, I am going to say, and I don't mind, I thought it was kind of neat that it's like, oh, it's just like the old one, and little droid has the map, and, just like the old one. That's kind of neat. I will say, another Death Star? I mean, come on.
Yes and no, but...
Like, this is the 3rd time now. It's like, it wasn't like a huge deal, but I am going to say it's like, again with the Death Star.
They must be getting a group raid or something.
So this one was an entire planet, essentially.
Yes.
So it was just a planet orbiting around the sun.
I guess they took a planet and they basically built this whole machine into the planet. Yeah. It would be my guess.
Doesn't really make much sense, but I'll go with it.
You know-
Nothing about Star Wars makes sense.
Well, and I think it's to a certain point you don't have to understand everything to
No.
enjoy it.
No.
You know, it's some
It's
things
a
you
fantasy movie.
Yeah, some things you have
yeah.
to just sit there and suspend,
let it go.
suspend part of your brain and saying, okay, I don't really need to understand this. I don't necessarily have to understand this. Just watch it.
Yeah, I thought it was, I really, that's about the only thing I can nitpick. Well, there is one more thing. I thought Andy Serkis's character,
Snoke,
looked kind of stupid. Like, it looked too
Well-
much like Lord of the Rings, and I know it's the guy from Lord of the Rings, but...
At the same point, though, that was just nothing more than a holographic projection. So I'm hoping maybe we'll see more of an interaction of him standing in front and not this holographic projection all the time in Episode 8.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. So I'm hoping maybe in that sense that perception may change a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
What did you think of there was another character named Poe? Second time I watched it, I liked him a lot better. The first time I watched it, I was kind of disappointed that he came back. I really liked the idea of, here's like the big, awesome, big-chinned hero Poe, and he and Finn escape, and and then all of a sudden they crash, and it's like, well, there goes the hero of the story, and now we got to focus on these two kids that don't know what they're doing. I thought that would have been brilliant, and then they bring him back to life, and I'm like, ugh, God, that could have been a better story. Well, but then the second time I saw it, I ended up liking him so much that I got over myself.
Oscar Isaac, who plays Poe Dameron, said that in the original version that they had when they offered him the role, he was the character that was supposed to be killed off originally.
Really? So,
and
okay,
so
it seemed like it.
So,
it seemed like it would have been better that way.
So he went ahead, still accepted the role, thinking, okay, great, I'm going to be in it, basically kind of a cameo role, so so be it. At least I can say I've been in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Cool. And then he said he got a call back later from Abrams saying, no, we changed our mind. You're going to live. We figured it out. You're good. Which he was still fine with. He gets to be more in the movie.
Well, he'll be in the next one.
Yeah.
It's one of the. They probably liked him so much that they kept him going, which is fine.
And you didn't really
I wish
get
they would
much.
have patched up that a little bit with the story.
You didn't get much of a story with him, but.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll change in the next movie a little bit. Hopefully he doesn't become the Wedge of this series.
Well, he's already a little better off than Wedge was, I think.
Right, well, yeah, a little bit. I mean, at least Wedge got more speaking lines. I mean, he's got more speaking lines than Wedge.
Did you ever see? And the weird part is, like on Empire Strikes Back, it seems like Wedge dies. But then all of a sudden he's back and return. Like, what happens?
He doesn't really die. He gets beat up a little bit in a snow speeder, but they never.
But you don't see him fly away. Like I look for that every time.
He doesn't die.
Like, but then all of a sudden on the third one, on return, he's just like back, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess he lived. Like I look for it every time I watch Empire Strikes Back. Like I look for this time I'm going to see him fly away, and every time I'm like, nah, I didn't see him fly away this time. I don't know. I must be missing it. I don't know.
I really love the first time when you see the Millennium Falcon. It's like I thought that was great when they're running away. Oh, we need a pilot. We've got a pilot. We need a ship. Oh, we're going to take that one. Well, what about that? Oh, that's just a piece of junk. But you don't see what they're talking about, and then the other ship gets blown up, and then you turn and they go to run to the other ship. All right, we'll take the piece of junk, and it's the Millennium Falcon. I thought that was great.
Oh,
although the Falcon took a beating though, trying to get up off the ground with her flying it initially.
One thing, I think it's very clear that this movie establishes that, yes, Han shot first. And if you'll remember when they're in Han and Chewie's cargo ship, or whatever that is, and those monsters are loose, first thing he does is, Han Solo does, is grab one of those pirates, throws him in front of the monster to get eaten while he runs away, like just to get out of there. And it's like, Han Solo totally shoots first. That's the way he is. He's not gonna he's not some honorable John Wayne, you loser.
Well, also what I found funny, what I found funny and enjoyable with Harrison Ford's role as Han Solo in this movie was he was like not necessarily comic relief.
Yeah.
But he kind of gave you a lot of kind of laughable moments,
he did.
which was great. And you saw kind of the old Han a little bit from maybe a little bit of, like in Return of the Jedi, a little bit where he was not so serious, but still had a little bit of lightness to him.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. Oh, you're the one who did it to run in 14 parsecs. 12!
Yeah.
You know, and just the whole character about him bringing Han Solo was,
I
loved about that
think,
movie. I really think Harrison Ford made The Force Awakens what it is.
Well, I honestly think that they're technically going to say that Rey and Finn they weren't the stars. Han Solo was the star.
Okay,
this movie was all about Han Solo. This was the Han Solo story.
I look at it, there was 3 stars to this movie.
Yeah.
Rey, Finn, and Han Solo.
Yeah.
But you have to really think Rey, and then I think it was Harrison Ford, and then it was Finn.
I would say Harrison Ford was the star.
I think
this movie was all about him.
I really think Harrison Ford.
This was all about his redemption, and
I really think Harrison Ford though was you needed one of the big 3 of the original characters to be in the movie all the way.
By the way, did we not call the storyline from this movie?
Yes, I was trying to wait to get to that in a little bit.
Okay,
I know where you're going with that, and that's
we totally called it.
And that's one of the things I want to get to, but I didn't want to jump into it first thing because I do have.
Because I was so off with Avengers 2. Like, I thought my storyline was better than Avengers 2, but whatever.
Oh, and there's also a little bit of comparison though when we get to that part. There's also a little bit of comparison because it looks like, from my point of view, they are taking a little bit from the books.
Yeah,
one of the series of the books.
I agree with you.
They are taking a little bit of something from the books.
I've never read them, but I know enough about them that with the Jason Solo character,
right?
Like I know enough about it that
which they're taking a little bit from it, which they said. They said they never said they couldn't take ideas or characters from those books. Any of the books, actually, they're out there, but which I find interesting.
I know a lot of people were upset that the books were not going to be canon,
but then again,
how canon were they in the first place? Like, you knew, at least until 2008, you knew that there was going to be a 7, 8, and 9. Did you really think they were going to be based on the books?
No, but see,
and then after 2008, when George Lucas said he's done,
well, see, he sold to Disney in 2012, and let's just, for argument's sake, stop before he sold to Disney. If you look at all the books with the movies, all those books that had been written, if you look, were all intentionally strung out. There was no contradicting of anything. So you could start from the earliest books that were technically in the timeline of the Old Republic all the way through to how far up ahead they had gotten, and there was no deviation of anything.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't kill a character off and then 3 books later down the road he's all of a sudden back out of nowhere. I mean, they kept it in a continuous line because at one point in the books Chewie dies.
Really?
Yeah, at some point, and it sends Han into a depression and he kind of goes off back to his drunken pirate days, so to speak.
Wow.
And everything. So, but that made me think maybe they were going to kill Chewie off in The Force Awakens, which they didn't, which is fine. That's cool.
I'd rather they keep Chewie around.
Right.
I like Chewie.
Chewie's cool.
And killing him off really wouldn't do that much. The only person it would really affect would be Han Solo. Something happens to him in this movie. I can't remember. Yeah. Doesn't he...
Okay, so what did you think? Did you like the idea that the story was basically all these characters were trying to search for Luke Skywalker? Did you like that premise?
Yeah, I was fine with that.
I think that worked.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very simple plot device to get things going for the action. I was cool with it. Yeah.
And, it
works a lot better than, I hate to say it, but it works a lot better than trade federations.
Right. If you think about it, it was really both sides who were looking for the same person. It's just a matter of who got the complete map and who could get to him first.
Well, that's just like how it was in Empire. Everyone was always looking for Luke Skywalker then.
And it made the end of the movie kind of more meaningful in a way.
Yeah.
I thought.
What do you think about that storyline where Emperor Palpatine was aborting Jawa fetuses to harvest their midichlorians?
I don't know if
that was one of the things that I posted on Facebook, like a fake spoiler. I went on this kick where I was posting
really? I didn't see those.
Yeah.
Really?
I think I was doing it on other people's posts. They're like, "Don't tell me anything." And that was one, and then I had another one where I was like, "Can you believe that Jar Jar Binks was Darth Vader's father all along?" But it makes sense when you think about it. Well, so I was trolling people, putting up fake spoilers.
There's also a rumor, though, going around that some people are wondering if they'll do Snoke won't be some sort of reincarnation of Palpatine, because in the books he did find a way to come back in the books. So they're kind of wondering, since he's so strong with the Force,
I hope
dark
they're
side.
just kind of done with Palpatine.
I really hope so too. I really hope this.
It's like that was the thing. Like Darth Vader killed him. Darth Vader killed him.
I would
Let's let
rather
it go.
I would rather find out Snoke had something to do with Palpatine and it was just in the back shadows.
Like maybe he was like a friend,
or
maybe he was a friend Patine of Palpatine,
or whatever the case may be. But let's just hope it's not Palpatine reincarnated.
Right. I agree because
Darth
Vader killed him.
Vader and Palpatine's storyline are theoretically over.
It's done.
Yes,
Yeah.
let it go. We were talking at one point, because you saw in the trailer that Kylo Ren was always talking, or had Vader's mask, and you wonder, well, how the hell did he get it? Well, now it totally makes sense how he would know where to go find Vader's mask.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I was still wondering, but it's like, maybe.
But if you think about it, think about how everything is working out family wise, and someone was talking about, movies are always about father-son relationships, and you think about it, same way in this one, it's just in a different way.
Yeah.
Instead of it being Luke and Darth Vader, it's Kylo Ren and Han Solo.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool moments I really liked about The Force Awakens. Seeing Han Solo, obviously. I also found it hilarious when he sat there and he finally shot Chewie's gun.
Yeah.
And he got
the crossbow.
Yeah, the crossbow. I like this.
You know what's really funny is
he's like, It's like, okay, you've known Chewie for how many years now, and you're just now shooting that gun for the first time.
Yeah. You know what's really funny is before I saw this movie, I watched the old ones, and I was just thinking, I was like, what's the deal with Chewie's crossbow? Like, why is it a crossbow? It shoots lasers like everything else. Like, I was like, that's kind of cool looking, but like, and I'd never really thought about it before, but then like, it's really funny because I was like pondering it like crazy, and then I see it in the movie. It's like, oh, okay, I guess other people have thought about this before too, because like Han Solo finally gets to shoot it.
Yeah, and he shoots it and he goes, and then he turns around in that one big battle scene where Kylo Ren takes Rey and he takes him on her ship and release, and he shoots it and he's like, oh, Chewie, can I borrow this? Thanks. Shoot. I like this gun.
Also, Finn uses lightsaber. I guess in the poster he had a lightsaber.
Yeah.
And he's not a Jedi.
No.
There you go. So apparently anybody can take this long laser sword and swing it around, because guess what? It's going to chop your limbs off no matter what, because it's super hot.
Yeah.
It's probably not that hard of a thing to use.
Did you see my the last one of the last things I posted on my ReggieState.com?
What was it?
Well, you commented on Facebook. Han Solo's fate in The Force Awakens wasn't a matter of if, but how.
Yeah. Like we both called it. We knew Harrison Ford wanted to kill his character off back in Return of the Jedi.
Right. And I don't think he would agree to come to this movie if that hadn't have been, his character hadn't been killed off in some way.
Probably not. Unless he just liked the scripted, but probably not. Yeah, no, I don't see it.
I could be totally wrong, but I thought he really played his character this time around with a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of gusto. He looked like he was enjoying himself.
Yeah.
Or at least in front of the camera, watching the movie, it really looked like he was enjoying himself, having fun. And maybe knowing that he was going to not have to worry about coming back for episode 8, maybe he decided, what the hell, I'm just going to go for it.
I think he felt like, I think I can't get into Harrison Ford's head.
No one
but
can. But it's just speculation on our part.
He felt like this character finally had some depth.
And had
other than being just awesome, he had some real depth this time.
And
that's why I always liked Indiana Jones better, because that character, as awesome as he is, still has depth. And that was something that
maybe he thought it was missing.
Han Solo never had. I know that's true. He's said that before. Like, he felt that Han Solo wasn't really that.
There was no purpose other than just being there. I did not see the way he was going to be taken out in this movie. I did not see that coming.
But we knew it was going to
happen. It's just a matter of how.
I thought that scene was probably one of the best scenes in any Star Wars movie.
Knowing that he was probably going to buy it in this movie, and just not knowing how.
Yeah.
The fact that you figure out, when they sit there and said early on in the movie, which I thought that was one thing they could have done without. Because at one point Snoke says, well, you're going to have to sit there and do something with your father. Can you handle that? And then they made mention that Han Solo was his father. And it's like, okay, that takes a little bit of a mystery out of it.
Too early. I thought so too, yeah.
A little early, which I thought they could have held back on that a little bit longer.
Yeah,
personally.
I thought so too.
But knowing that, Han Solo was Kylo Ren's father, and he obviously, Kylo Ren / Ben Solo now, obviously had some misgivings towards Han for whatever reason that case may be. I found it
Probably
really
'cause
moving.
Han Solo cheated on Leia. Like, let's be honest.
I don't know. I don't want to speculate as to
Right,
what he did. My guess is Han just being Han. He was just never there.
Yeah.
Regardless, Kylo Ren taking that lightsaber and just igniting it right through him. What was really the more shocking to see that happen is like, oh crap, he just did that. But the more emotional grab to that whole scene was before he falls off the catwalk.
Yes.
He still reached up
and grabbed his face
and touched his face before he fell off.
Yeah.
That was the more emotional grab to that whole scene.
Yeah.
Because without that,
I agree. Totally.
It has no emotional. I don't know whatever the words I'm looking for, but that was the hard part about that.
Yeah, and poor Chewie.
Oh,
poor
Chewie. And then you're not sure if Chewie survives or not because then he starts setting off loud.
I was wondering,
and then all of a sudden, there's the Falcon to help save Rey.
I'm glad he did, and I like that Chewie is now the captain of the Millennium Falcon.
Well,
and Rey is the first mate.
Well, I wonder though if that'll change though. If it
is, it's racist against. Wookiees. It's Wookiees. Anti-Wookiee.
Now, we talked about stuff being taken from the books. And in the books, and I don't remember what the series was, but Han and Leia in the books, before they became non-official.
It's a trilogy. My friend told me. It's
a 9-book series that dealt. There's a whole long, actually, there's characters in the books, different series. They actually had 3 kids in the books. Yeah. They had twins, which was Jason.
And a girl.
And
it seems like this girl, I don't think
had a twin sister, Jaina, Jaina is the spelling, and then a younger brother named Anakin. So be it.
Why would you name your kid after Darth Vader?
Yeah, I don't know. Either.
And Leia never liked Darth Vader.
No.
Like I know, like maybe Luke would have, but Leia had like he blew up Leia's family.
Yeah, and in the
That's
books,
stupid.
now in the books there was a son called Ben, but it was Luke's son called Ben Skywalker.
And actually, I was just going to talk about how interesting it is that they changed it from Jason to Ben. When he yelled out Ben, I thought to myself, this is really interesting because Leia, as far as we know, didn't actually know Obi-Wan. She knew of him, but didn't know Obi-Wan. Han would have been the one to name him after Obi-Wan.
Or they felt because of... See, and that also brings up the question now is, who is Rey's parents? Because there's speculation, okay, is Rey Han and Leia's daughter?
No.
And I don't think he is.
Like, they came out and said who that they were Ben's parents. I think they would have come out and said that was her.
Because also,
parents.
according to, if I can find my notes here.
If I were to guess, I would say that she's Luke's daughter. Which I thought so from the trailers even. Mm-hmm. Or maybe she's just nobody's daughter. Maybe she was one of the kids, the younglings, because Luke was training.
According to the Force Awakens visual dictionary that got released shortly before the movie, or at the day of the movie came out, supposedly Rey is supposed to be 19. Mm-hmm. And Kylo Ren / Ben Solo is supposed to be 30. So there's an 11-year gap in there. I'm going to guess Rey's more possibly Luke's daughter.
Yeah, that's what if she's anyone's daughter, she's Luke's. Leia would have come out and said, "You're my daughter."
And how would Han not know who she is in the first place?
Exactly. I mean, like there is no question in my mind that she is not Leia and Han's daughter.
No.
Now
she's too strong.
She could be Luke's. She could be Luke's, or she could just be like nobody's daughter.
True.
Well, somebody's daughter, but nobody important.
But she's obviously got a lot of abilities with the Force.
Sure. At least I think it's a large galaxy, but apparently everyone knows everyone in this galaxy, so maybe it's actually a small galaxy.
There's a joke somewhere in there, but I don't want to piss off somebody or anyone's particular. But that's what I found interesting. Supposedly in that flashback sequence, is supposed to be...
Maybe Darth Vader had another kid. Oh, wait, no.
No.
That wouldn't have worked.
No.
Because she's 19. Yeah, that's impossible.
Impossible. Supposedly that flashback sequence when she first sees the lightsaber, Luke's lightsaber, and she kind of touches it, and then she has all that whole flashback scene thing. That part where you see Kylo Ren with the Knights of Ren all there in the rainy, darkened thing, is supposedly is where Luke had his Jedi Academy thing he had set up, or a new temple, whatever. And that's supposedly, hopefully, maybe we'll find out more, confirmed, is where he, as a teenager, turned against Luke.
I think so. But she could have just been the only student that survived.
I
think that's what it is.
It could be. I don't know.
That's what I think it is.
There's definitely
she
a mystery.
Survived because Luke sent her away. I mean, that's what I think.
Who knows? It'll be interesting to see where they go with it. That's for damn sure. My big thing is getting to see Luke, and obviously we'll probably see more of him in Episode 8. I really would like to see by the end of Episode 9, Luke is still around. I don't want to see them killing off Luke in Episode 8. I really think in order, if you're supposed to, quote, help bring back the Jedi, and let's say Rey's really the only one out there that's possibly another Jedi, I just hope, Luke stays
Finn
around.
Could be cheering too.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. But I'd like to see Luke still be around at the end of Episode 9.
Yeah, I would too.
And really, if you think about it, with Kylo Ren being the daughter of Leia now, son of Leia, it would be really interesting if he's really determined to try and bring Luke out into the open. Will they go as far as to him capture his mom to draw him out? That would be an interesting. See. That would be an interesting conflict.
I think that there's going to be. I think we've gotten really good at writing stories now, at least for like Hollywood blockbusters these days. I think there's going to be an interesting dynamic between her and
that would be an interesting
between
twist.
Leia and Kylo Ren.
Because at some point you'd think either 8 or 9, you'd want to have Kylo Ren capture Leia in order to try and draw either Luke or Rey or both out into the open.
Maybe Leia's the one that ends up killing him.
Well, see,
would be something.
See, in the books, it was actually his twin sister, Jaina, who eventually kills Jason Solo in the books.
Yeah.
It would make sense for Rey to go after him, but who knows? But it would also be cool, too. Maybe Rey gets in trouble in Episode 9, and then all of a sudden Leia shows up and kills him, too.
You got to remember, Luke never killed Darth Vader or Palpatine.
No, because Vader...
Like, the hero didn't kill either
Technically, they both kind of killed each other.
Yeah.
Because it was Palpatine's lightning that kind of short-circuited all his stuff that basically killed Vader. Vader killed him by throwing him off into the Death Star core.
I mean, Rey doesn't by any means need to kill Kylo Ren. I think Leia.
But they also give you the
killing him would be something.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. She having to kill her son after her son killing.
I don't think she'd kill him for revenge.
No,
I think it would be a last resort,
or to save Luke or Rey.
Sort of, save somebody.
Yeah.
Or maybe another freaking planet, like he blew up 3 planets in this
or do the typical Hollywood cliche. You think Kylo Ren's killed Leia, and then out of nowhere Luke or Rey's in trouble, and all of a sudden out of nowhere a lightsaber comes into his back, and then it's Leia at the last second. Heroic damsel and whatever. There are so many possibilities they can go with this.
Yeah, and I don't think that they have the next 2 movies written. I think they're taking George Lucas.
Episode 8 is supposed to start filming sometime early this year because it comes out in May of 2017.
Really?
So it's got to start filming sometime in the first quarter of 2016 because Rogue One comes out in December. So basically next December, you're going to get that first standalone movie, and then 5 months later, you're going to get Episode 8.
There is one thing that we do need to talk about.
Go for it.
George Lucas did see the movie. Did you read that?
Yes. He also blasted Disney.
Yeah.
But he's also come back and technically apologized for his remarks, but he didn't necessarily apologize for other things either.
Do you remember when we did this podcast beforehand, how I said that
George Lucas just needs to keep his mouth shut?
I did. And I said it was just like with, and this is a much smaller scale, obviously, but on the video game series Final Fantasy, Sakaguchi, the guy who did, who created Final Fantasy after he got fired, tweeted about how much he disliked 12. And 12 is a good game. Final Fantasy 12 is a good game. But he tweeted about how much he disliked it, and then later came back and was like, no, it's good. I don't know why I said that. But it's kind of the same thing. It's like it's got to be tough to watch your creation
do well.
Well, not even do well, but to watch your creation be taken over by other people.
Right.
Now, here's the deal. Then the big difference between the Final Fantasy guy and Lucas wasn't fired.
Lucas made the decision to sell
He
his
sold
company.
it.
Yeah.
So, like, he wasn't fired. He sold it. He's got to step up with that.
Right. Now, if he's having second thoughts, then that's his problem.
It is. Also, I'm going to point out, like, he called the movie retro, and he's right. But here's the thing, like, a lot of what he said contradicted, well, like, even the fact of saying, oh, it's retro, he says something like, I wish I had the quote with me. I was going to print it off, and I forgot to. But he said something like, with his movies, he was always moving forward.
Yeah.
And he was never looking backwards. Bullshit.
The prequels were nothing but looking back.
Not only that,
to a certain extent.
Return of the Jedi, back on Tatooine, destroying the Death Star again. So it was even going back to Return of the Jedi. And then you've got the prequels. The first one, back on Tatooine. Like, I mean, we'll meet Jabba the Hutt again, even though there's no reason to meet him in that movie.
Right.
Like, other than a cameo. So it's like, and then, of course, like, oh, Darth Vader created C-3PO. Why did he do that? Like, that doesn't make sense. So it's, like, so contradictory of yourself. Now, I am going to say, like, I don't want to turn this into a Lucas bashing session because that happens all too often. I mean, Lucas is...
Now, he does have a right to his opinion.
He does.
But at the same time, he's got to almost kind of ride that thin line of what he says publicly and what he thinks privately.
I know, and I kind of feel sorry. I do feel sorry for him because his creation is in the hands of other people. But, like, you've got to just... You got to take it better.
Yeah, right.
You got to take it better.
And the fact
this was your decision.
And the fact that he sat there and submitted story outlines for 7, 8, 9. Disney decided this is not the way we wanted to go. We want to go in a different direction. He has to respect that.
Yeah.
It's now their baby.
Yeah.
They're the ones that paid $4 billion to him
and I
in order to get
how
that.
He was going on about how this whole thing's nothing but a cash grab. Give me a break. That's all that Star Wars ever was when you were doing it.
Well, think about it. If it wasn't for Star
all
Wars,
those toys,
all those Star
like he had 100%
of the merchandise.
Of the merchandise. Don't act like you were doing it for the art.
Now, here's the thing.
Like, fuck you.
Now that you mentioned that, brings up. Does he still hold the merchandising rights, or did he sell that also to Disney?
No, I don't know. I have
because that would be interesting too. Because if he still holds the merchandising rights, but yet everything else went to Disney, then all these new toys that are being sold would still be going to him.
Yeah.
I'm assuming those merchandising rights went to Disney at the same time. I would assume.
But he did it for the art. Like, give me a break.
Well, that and his comments were a little harsh when he said that Disney was nothing but the white slavery.
Oh my gosh!
Where the hell did that remark come from?
Jeez.
I think maybe
says the guy who made Jar Jar Binks the
I
most obvious racial stereotype.
See,
ever.
I think maybe he might be a little bit surprised, maybe taken back at the fact that movie has just taken off like it has at the box office. He figured it may have do well, but I don't think he anticipated it would just do what it has been doing, and maybe that has him a little upset.
Probably, but I mean, well,
but at the same time, he had
the only reason why this movie does so well is because people love your movies. I mean, that's it. You know, you can act like they're your movies and you can change them all you want, but at the end of the day, they're all of our movies because we love them that much.
And without his creation, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about episode 7 right now.
Yeah, we'd probably have like real jobs. Just kidding.
You mean this podcast doesn't pay?
No.
I gotta
level with you, man. The podcast business is not doing too well.
Before we move on, since we're at the beginning of 2016, we got a whole big movie year coming up.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Anything else you'd like to comment on about Force Awakens?
I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I mean, I think we covered everything. It's a great movie.
I can't wait for it to come out on home video and Blu-ray because I'll buy it and watch it again.
Yeah,
I did read that his first cut of Star Wars before any editing went on or any of the special effects stuff were put in was a 2 hour and 45-minute cut of the movie. His initial J.J. Abrams cut.
Really?
And he was still cutting things up until the last second. So you wonder how much
how much we're missing.
How much we're missing that may have made sense.
Or maybe we'll get a special edition version.
He's not on big on director cuts. And there was an interview. He said he feels that the movie that comes out in the theater is the movie that should come out in home video, and he's not big on putting out a different cut just for home video, just because you can. He's like, if this is the movie I put out, then this is the movie you're going to get, and this is the way it's going to stay.
Fair
Which
enough.
you can't get mad at him for doing so.
Going back to Star Wars with the special editions, the special editions are fine. Like the director's cuts are fine. Like I do wish that Lucas would have given us the option to watch the original.
I think what draws so much criticism with special editions is the fact he changed of making it not look like Han shot first.
Yeah.
Adding in the extra scene with Jabba in Star Wars: A New Hope that did not need to be there because he already talks about it with Greedo in the cantina.
What? Even though we kind of talked about it last time, even though that scene is superfluous, watching it, if you just watch it as, oh, here's the director's cut and here's a new scene, it's kind of cool.
Yes.
So I don't really have a real problem with it. Now, if I had my original in Blu-ray quality, I could choose
which one to watch.
Yeah. Now, what I don't like the Han shooting first, and I think the new change that they made on the Blu-ray with Darth Vader. No. Like, what the hell? Other than that, I'm pretty much cool with just about anything.
And, cleaning up the special
I don't
effects
even
were
mind.
fine. Adding a few things in the background was
I don't
fine.
even mind the Christian Haydenson thing for a special edition release,
but
I don't mind that at all.
Now,
it would have been nice if I still have the option of watching the original on Blu-ray.
I just really hope Disney has investigated, and if there is copies of the original trilogy out there that can be put out,
maybe
cleaned
they'll
up
be
for Blu-ray, I really hope they do it.
Maybe,
sometime.
And you know what? You know what's messed up is I wouldn't mind if Disney made a because some of the changes are actually good. Some of the changes that George Lucas made are good.
Okay, let me pose this question to you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go on the theory Disney has found good quality of the original versions before
release them.
Special editions. My question is, though, if they find them, get them cleaned up, and they're, quote, Blu-ray ready, do they release them during all this hype, or do you wait till after Episode 9 and then release them so that way?
I think you'd have to release them before Episode 8, honestly.
You know,
during the hype.
Do you release it while you're still making the new trilogy, or do you wait till after your new trilogy is done and then release them?
I think you do it now.
You think you do it now?
As soon as you can, yeah. I honestly think so. Do it now. I also like the idea that maybe Disney's going to do their own special edition where it's like they just
that would be putting out the originals back out on
No, well that like I don't mind more than like at this point it's like whatever, keep releasing. Like they could have this huge Blu-ray thing of like all these versions. There would be the original cuts and then there would be the special edition, which is sort of like the special edition, but Han shoots first. Darth Vader doesn't yell no. And then some more deleted scenes. There's some deleted scenes that are really cool.
If you bought
if you watch Return of the Jedi, there's deleted scenes in there that I honestly wish that Lucas would have added some of these scenes into the special edition.
Well, like the
lightsaber, Luke building the lightsaber is amazing.
There's also the Tatooine scene with the Falcon.
Yes.
Now, granted, some of that they redubbed back over when they're flying off. And
I know,
but still,
they could dub something different and then
rework
have him say, "I owe you one" while he's flying
off. Yeah,
but like that. Yes, that scene where they're getting off in the sandstorm is amazing.
Yes.
To be fair, I know why Lucas cut that out. Like when you watch Return of the Jedi is fast-paced, action.
There's not a lot of slow parts.
Yeah, so that would have
slowed things down.
Would have slowed down the movie.
But if you're going to do
a special edition, that's fine.
That whole lightsaber thing would have been great to see.
Yeah, like that's totally cool. Yeah. So yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, just
you kind of wish you knew what Disney knows or does not know about what's there and what exists. Because if those things do exist, you got to be thinking, okay, they're calculating when do we put this out because it's going to be a cash grab.
Yeah.
A big crash grab. So do you put it out during the summertime? Do you release it, December 15th, right before Christmas, and all of a sudden you're going to get this influx of money because people are going to be running out wanting those damn things? So bad. Those things would fly off the shelf quicker than I think The Force Awakens would hitting video stores.
I think so.
What would Lucas do if they restored them and put them back out and re-released them to theaters, the original versions again?
I don't know.
Would people flock to them?
Oh, yeah.
Like a limited 2-week release or something
like that? Well,
that?
Even like the 3D version of Episode 1. Like, we all went and saw it.
Yeah. Why? Don't know, but we did.
It was kind of fun. Like, I guess.
Well, see, I didn't go see it in 3D. I just went and saw it in the 2D. It's like, okay, it's back out in theaters again. What the hell? I'll go watch it. But like we said in the previous podcast, they really should have started with episode 4.
Yeah,
why start with episode 1? No one wants to see that. Yeah.
Frankly speaking, George Lucas is crazy. Like, he went crazy.
No,
like, he wants to force everybody to like things the way he likes them.
Now, if Lucas comes up and creates something new, a new movie, and it looks really good, I'll be more than happy to go see a movie if he puts it out, even if it's a quote indie type of movie, not Indiana Jones, but independent type.
Did you see Red Tails?
I have not seen Red Tails.
It's not very good.
Well, I think he was working on that when he was selling to Disney, didn't he? Because that came out like a year or two after he sold it.
No, it's older than you think. That's like 2009 or 10.
I thought that was 2012, 2013.
No, it's older.
I'll have to look that up.
But I know that that was a movie that he wanted to make for decades.
Well, it looks like nothing but a CG fest, really, with all the planes.
Like, it's not that great. Like, it's not a terrible movie,
I think it's based on
a
true. It's based on a true.
It's based on the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah.
But, like, it's so one-dimensional. I mean, you got to remember, like, this is World War II, and we're talking our Air Force is segregated.
Well, a lot of things were back then.
Yeah, like the people fighting for our country is segregated. And when you watch the movie, it's like it doesn't even talk about
it. It's
just about like, let's do for America. And it's like...
So if there'd been a little bit more controversy with the segregation, dealt more with that, it might have been a better movie then?
Yeah, I think so.
Might have been more intriguing,
but it's very, very one-dimensional. I've seen worse movies. Like, it's an okay movie, but it's not that
maybe
great.
If it hits Netflix. We'll put episode 7 in the books right now.
We're going to put it in the Disney vault.
Buy it on Blu-ray, because it'll be the last time you'll see it for 10 years now.
This podcast will be taken off the internet since we use the copyright word Disney vault.
And episode 7 and Star
also,
Wars.
We'll be dead. We'll be locked in the Disney vault, along with Jim Henson's corpse after what happened. That's what happened to Jim Henson, don't you know? He wouldn't sell the Muppets to Disney. He didn't. Just,
so you're saying
he didn't just die real fast from some weird disease?
Are you saying conspiracy theory?
I am saying conspiracy theory. Like, he just died one day from some weird disease. Now he's locked away in the Disney vault.
So what's a bigger conspiracy theory than the U.S.? Jim Henson or JFK?
Oh, well, JFK is a bigger conspiracy.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Obviously, with Force Awakens shattering the box office, we've got a pretty huge movie season coming up in 2016. We got Deadpool. Yeah. You've got X-Men Apocalypse. Yeah. You've got Captain America Civil War. You've got Suicide Squad. You've got another Star Wars movie in Rogue One. Okay. And then you got that little movie Batman vs. Superman in March. There's also the
holy crap.
There's also the Independence Day sequel in June or July, whenever it's being released. No, I don't remember exactly when. I'm sure there's probably 2 or 3 more movies I'm missing. But we got a lot of movies spread out throughout the entire year. It's just not all combined.
Too many movies, man. Too many movies.
But what I was getting at, is there any movie that's going to have the box office draw that Star Wars has had in 2016?
No.
Anyone that might come close?
Maybe Batman versus Superman. That's the only one I can think of that would come close to Star Wars.
But does a comic book movie, and granted that's a little bit different with a comic book because you got 2 big characters that never been on the screen together.
But you have the 2 biggest comic book heroes, and the 2 biggest comic book heroes since 1939. They've always been the biggest
in the same movie.
Yeah, so that one could bring a big draw. I don't know how appealing the trailer is to the general audience. Well, see, that's the problem. Maybe the general audience just hears Batman versus Superman. Yeah, I'll see it.
And also, does the comic book appeal have the same appeal as what Star Wars does? Because Star Wars appeals to pretty much anybody and everybody. No. Not everyone's going to be, it's I don't care about that one. Someone who might have gone to seeing Star Wars: The Force Awakens 3 or 4 times may not even be interested in Batman versus Superman. No. So I guess if there's one out there that might have a chance.
I think that's it. And it by the way, by chance that it might come close, it's not going to surpass it by any means.
Batman versus Superman, I have no doubt, will probably take in $1 billion worldwide.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think it'll come close to the U.S. Now, we could both be totally wrong. I mean, our record is guessing is not anywhere great, but no one is, really. I just don't see it blowing out Avatar and Titanic and The Force Awakens out of their spots.
X-Men Apocalypse. You know who plays Apocalypse, don't you?
Oscar Isaacs.
How weird is that? That looks like an interesting movie. I kind of feel like they should have, and there's no end in sight to any movie, and I need to just deal with that with any franchise. I kind of feel like the last one, Days of Future Past, should have been the finale. Like, that movie was perfect for ending it.
But we are talking Hollywood, though.
I know. And there will never be an end to anything unless it's already, it's one thing with Harry Potter because they were all written by...
Well, that and J.K. Rawlings made sure and got specific things taken care of, so there's no chance of Hollywood...
Marvel, it just keeps going. And that's the way, and that's the thing. Marvel, they were comic books. They were always meant to just, meant to just keep garbagely going.
It wouldn't be surprised, though, if Marvel also has an end to their means with all this. It wouldn't surprise me, but it sounds like they've got at least a Phase 4 coming besides Phase 3.
Fox will keep going until they can't make money.
Until at least 1 or 2 X-Men in movies in a row bomb.
I think they're done with Fantastic Four for a little while, hopefully.
Oh, you would hope. Oh my God!
This next X-Men movie does look really.
It looks good.
Interesting.
The trailers make it look good.
I'm gonna say, like, on the one hand, it's kind of neat that they're finally getting to Apocalypse, who is a big character in the 80s and 90s.
Well, and it also looks like from what they're doing, it also looks like they're trying to set up for these younger characters to take over the franchise. Yeah. So Patrick Stewart can doesn't have to necessarily be in.
Well, he's done.
He has said that he is returning for the third Wolverine movie.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
He is returning for that, but it sounds like that's going to be interesting because that's always had a unique kind of father-son relationship with Wolverine. Yeah. So in that sense, that might be cool.
Days of Future Past, that was really the first X-Men movie.
It set everything back to where you...
Well, and aside from that, though, like the X-Men movies, X-Men comics are weird. Like, they are weird. Mm-hmm. They're always traveling through time or different dimensions or going into outer space. Like, actually, that's not totally fair. They weren't at first, but it's like after you do it once, you just got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And it got to the point where it's just like, no. By the time it got to the 90s, nothing in X-Men makes sense anymore. Like, it's just so weird at this point. Whereas it started off as, in the 70s they go into outer space for the first time, and then they go into outer space for a second time, and this time they actually meet aliens, and it's pretty weird now. And then in the 80s it's like, Days of Future Past, they're kind of time traveling now. And then in the late 80s it's like they're time traveling every week, and they've created all these different timelines. Apocalypse is a weird character, and the last movie, Days of Future Past, was the first movie to really get X-Men, like, they'd always been fairly grounded, these movies. Like, it's guys with superpowers fight the government and Magneto. Like, there you go. And it's like one big metaphor for gay rights. There you go. But
gay rights, civil rights, whatever.
Pretty much.
Whatever rights
some of them were
with.
Civil rights, but most of them were gay rights. The last one was the first one that actually, there's time travel, there's robots. It's like, okay, we're finally starting to get to, like, some of the weirder crap that was in the comics. And then this one brings in Apocalypse. Apocalypse is weird, and I've always had mixed feelings about this character. He's a really cool character, but at the same time, it's like his powers don't really make sense. Like, his powers are kind of whatever the writers feel like giving him at the time. His powers don't make a whole lot of sense. And there was, after they created Apocalypse, there was an obvious tonal shift with X-Men. The tone really changed after that. Like, it got
more serious or more weird?
Weird and dark. Serious is a word. I would say dark. Serious is close to what I would say, but it got real dark and kind of got away from, like, more of the...
Okay, so not really have ever followed the X-Men on the comic side, just only what I know from the movies. What does Apocalypse do to the X-Men in their setting in the comics? Does it change them anyway? Does it change the present? Does it change the past? I mean,
it creates its own timeline called the Age of Apocalypse, which is essentially a timeline where Apocalypse kills Charles Xavier essentially before he could even start X-Men, which means that all this other crap happens, which means that even, like, not just the X-Men, but it's so weird. Like, even Spider-Man doesn't exist. He gets killed. Gwen Stacy is the one who gets bitten by the radioactive spider, where Spider-Man gets killed by the burglar. So Gwen Stacy is Spider-Girl. So it's like everything, and what that has to do with, I know the butterfly effect or whatever, but what that has to do with Charles Xavier Xavier dying is beyond me. But, like, whatever. Like, it could be anything from, like, Peter paying attention to a radio show on Charles Xavier and was late to school, whatever. I don't know. So, like, yes, there's this entire timeline where Apocalypse just rules the world. And
does it eventually go back to the original timeline?
No, it's just this other timeline. But here's the thing, like, sometimes characters from that timeline travel into the dimension that is the regular Marvel. It's weird. It is so weird. Like, there's Dark Beast.
Okay, Fox wouldn't be stupid enough to let that happen with the movies and then start this weird...
Well, it's already kind of happening. Like, this movie seems to take place in the late 80s. The characters in this movie, like, this isn't a prequel to the first X-Men. This is essentially a reboot after Days of Future Past. This is the new timeline, which is kind of interesting in a way. But it's kind of like what they did with Star Trek.
Okay.
Like, this is like the new timeline where it's like, yeah, now we get to meet these, like, they're younger, but they also have nothing to do storyline-wise with the old X-Men.
So it's kind of Fox trying to set themselves up for future X-Men movies.
Yes.
Since you know that Patrick Stewart's getting a little old to be playing.
Ian McKellen has one foot in the grave.
You got all these, Halle Berry's probably not wanting to keep playing Storm because he wants to see an older Storm all the time.
Right, yeah.
So it's their way of trying to maneuver themselves quietly.
Exactly. But they still have the option of
bringing back these older characters at the same
time. Well, and also, like, making one of the greatest things about the way the storyline was set up was Charles Xavier was a teacher in the 60s during the hippie era, during the civil rights movement. Like, that's perfect. Magneto was a Holocaust survivor, Jewish and mutant. And, like, that's perfect. And, like, the further in time that we get in the real world, where we get away from World War II and we get away from the civil rights movement of the 60s, the less relevance the X-Men kind of has. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, like, keeping them in this eternal loop really works. Because I've thought about it. Like, we can't have a 106-year-old Magneto. Like, I was a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to work.
Right.
So,
I mean, the trailer for it looks really good.
So what are they like? I mean, the only thing you can say is, I guess Magneto and Professor X are Generation Xers, but the trailer does look good. I'm interested in it, to say the least. I think it's going to be a decent movie. I think it's going to be the last one Bryan Singer does.
You think?
I don't think he'll do anymore. Well, I'm basing that off of nothing. I think my friend mentioned that.
But then again, as successful as seems all the X-Men movies have been, when that Bryan Singer has been either attached to in some way, either as producer or director, have always done well. You kind of wonder if Fox won't unload the bank to him to keep him going, since that seems to be the only way.
What they would do after Apocalypse, so like I guess they could do like I mean, this is big. Apocalypse is a big character, and he's a later character. He didn't come out till the late 80s, but he was a big character in the 90s when X-Men was huge. So he's a big character. I don't really know what they're going to do after that.
You think you'll go see Deadpool?
Yeah, I will.
Deadpool.
And by the way, speaking of X-Men, Colossus is in that.
Yes, because Deadpool, they've got Deadpool set in the same X-Men universe, I guess, or whatever. Deadpool looks like one of those fun movies. I'm not necessarily worried about. I want to go see it just out of morbid curiosity to see what they've done.
I think it's going to be a fun movie.
Yes.
Like, I'm not like, man, how's this going to work in the X-Men universe? Like, I don't care. Like, but it looks like fun.
I think it's also a big test. Letting them do a rated R comic book movie will determine how far any of the studios can really push anything with some of these movies. Can they go more than just PG-13 and still have these things be successful?
Well, here's the thing. Like I've said this before. Iron Man 3, if the name Iron Man wasn't in it, that movie would have been rated R. At least a few years ago, maybe a few years before. Like, that's pretty much an R-rated action movie right there.
Now, I want to throw out a really big salted question to you.
Okay.
There is a small rumor, and I'm taking it with a huge grain of salt. We're talking Hutchinson's salt mine type of grain of salt.
Sure.
Okay. There is a rumor that supposedly someone who works or has knowledge of Captain America Civil War says that they do.
No, don't say.
That they do kill off a certain character in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Do you buy it, considering that actor is also signed, technically at this point, still to do Infinity Wars?
Okay, don't say anything else.
You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, but I don't know exactly which character you're going with, and I don't want to. Yeah, they're gonna have to kill off somebody eventually. Like, I mean, they killed off Coulson, which was cool, but then they brought him back for the main TV show.
Let's leave Coulson alone.
And Quicksilver, that was lame.
Let's just leave Coulson as far as the movie's concerned. He's still dead because I think that's the way Marvel's kind of treating it.
Yeah.
So, because I think if there wasn't, they'd already would have reintroduced
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is B canon.
Yeah. So that aside, do you buy that they would still go that far?
They're gonna have to kill somebody big, and they're gonna have to not bring him back in a TV show.
I'm not talking Brody and War Machine.
Oh, you're not?
No.
So you're not talking War Machine because he's the one that I'm thinking.
Yeah. No.
So
I'm not
talking about Hawkeye.
No.
Well, then I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, it's one of the big four.
Really? No, I don't think they're going to kill them off. I think it's going to be one of the B-team characters like Hawkeye or War Machine.
I was just curious if they would go, considering... And
I thought they had their chance to temporarily kill Thor with Ultron, but they didn't do it, so... I liked my story.
Well, supposedly Thor may not be in Infinity Wars.
I wouldn't like that. Thor's cool. Like Thor is the cosmic one.
Because in my thought process, if you're going to do the Infinity Wars and you're wanting to try and eventually move on from Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk, if you're going to try and move away from those big four of the main ones that's kind of been your bulk of your quote Avengers for so long now, Infinity Wars would be the perfect place to do something with all four of them and not leave one of them out going into it.
Right, yeah.
Now, you would have to think that Marvel, of those four, Iron Man and Captain America would probably be the only ones that may continue on after Infinity Wars at some point. Maybe. And I'm thinking with different characters playing them. Anyway, you think you'd want those four in the Infinity Wars in some form or fashion.
Yeah, you would.
Whether it's part of one, part of two, or not being in it would not feel right.
Them not being in Infinity Wars is stupid. Like, they're going to be in Infinity Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, they're... Okay, if somebody's saying that one of the big four, and we already know that it's not going to be Hulk or Thor. So it's going to be Iron Man or Captain America. And since this is Captain America 3, like I'm just deducing it further. This guy's saying Iron Man dies at the beginning. I do not buy that for a second. Not for a second. No. Like, I think that he will die eventually. And I think they might kill him off for Infinity Wars, but not here.
But the only reason why I brought up this question is because supposedly this guy says, and I said, still big grain of salt here, says that at the end, they filmed with 3 different actors the same thing to give themselves options of whether or not if they decide to go through with it.
Oh, that I would believe.
That, and also to throw off anyone.
They do that all the time.
Also to throw off anyone who may leak it so they don't actually know who may take over that mantle. But at the same time, if you know the comics, the obvious choice is already still there.
So wait a minute. I mean, I guess we've talked about this on my show. Before he was War Machine, Rhodey was Iron Man 2. He was Iron Man.
Yes, but I'm not going.
But I'm not buying that. Yeah. No, they're not going to do that. I think there are two possible characters that could die. War Machine. Which sucks because War Machine, although Don Cheadle has not been since the beginning, the character of Rhodey has been in since the beginning.
Just different
And
actor.
He's always been kind of a sidekick. And also, like, really killing off the black guy. Like, really, guys, like this is what you're doing. But he is kind of the perfect one to kill off. I'd hate to say it. And it's a shame. He's a great character, but he is, like, totally, like, the one that I would probably kill off. Him or Hawkeye. Here's the thing. They had their shot to kill off Hawkeye with Ultron. I would have liked a temporary death for Thor and an actual death for Hawkeye and Ultron. That's what I would have gone for. And I know, like, everyone thought Hawkeye was going to die, and Joss Whedon was playing with our emotions for the whole movie. Mm-hmm. Like, remember, he's like, here's my family that I love.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know what I would do without my family. It's like, oh, he's going to die. And then it's like, no, we killed off the new guy that nobody really liked. Like, really? It's lame.
Yeah, that would have been a more emotional impact if Hawkeye would have died to save.
He could die in this one, though. I could see it.
Anyway, as I said, huge grains of salt that I threw out there, but it's just the rumor mill is as usual flying out there.
By the way, Black Panther looks cool. Really cool.
And I guess with them, and I don't have the notes in front of me, Marvel made slight changes, was it sometime last year, to their movie releases when certain movies are going to be released.
I saw that. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
So Black Panther now is going to have more of an impact. I guess Black Panther was supposedly not supposed to come out until like between the Infinity Wars. Mm-hmm. now I think it's supposed to come out right before the first Infinity
really?
War.
Okay.
So they're setting up where Black Panther, that storyline, whether they're going to do is going to have more impact of what happens towards going into the Infinity Wars now.
Okay.
Which I guess maybe they looked at and thought, oh, well, it's kind of stupid to have him if we're introducing the Civil War and then not see him again until Infinity War, but not have his own solo movie until after probably what they did is probably a better, makes more sense, especially if he's going to have any sort of pivotal role. Oh, also, James Gunn has made a posting on his Facebook or did an interview where he's been shown an early cut of Civil War, and he said that movie looked really awesome. And he said Tom Holland playing Spider-Man definitely has a very big pivotal role in that movie.
Yeah, really.
But he won't say what. Obviously, he being with Marvel, he's not going to say anything, give away. And James Gunn, as the person who wrote the article, I believe said something in the article, said if James Gunn doesn't like something, he just doesn't comment on it. The fact that he's commented on it, saying it looks really good, and he thinks it might be the best movie Marvel's put out yet as far as their entire universe, that has to say something.
If they could just get their hands on Fantastic Four after X-Men Apocalypse, if they could get their hands on X-Men too, I've always said, I like what Fox has done with X-Men for the most part, but it's like after Apocalypse, it's like, dude, screw it. Let's reboot it. Let's put it in Fox and let's put it in Marvel and let's get the whole Marvel family together. But Fantastic Four, we need Fantastic Four. That is such a missing key element to all of this.
If Marvel could get their whole hands on the Fantastic Four, put it in their Phase 4 lineup if they're going to do a Phase 4 after Infinity Wars.
Oh, Fantastic Four. Fantastic Phase 4. I like it. Yeah.
There you go, Marvel.
Package it and patent it, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it.
Thank you, Ian Malcolm.
I messed that up a little bit.
So, what movie are you looking forward to most?
Civil War.
Civil War?
100%. This trailer, I was a little scared about Civil War at first. I'm not a fan of the Civil War comics. I don't think they're very good. I think they're terrible. Mm-hmm. I think the comics for Civil War suck. After seeing the trailer,
I'm really most interested in that beatdown that looks like Iron Man is taking from Cap and Bucky.
And the Winter Soldier, yeah. This movie looks good. Really good.
I'm assuming that beatdown is going to come down towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, looks good. It looks really good. And I really liked Ultron, but hopefully they'll learn from some of that. And I think they had to get rid of Joss Whedon. I think we have to move on for the story's sake.
I think with the Russo brothers taking care of both Infinity War movies, I think those two movies are going to be so much more serious than what we ever saw in the first two Avengers movies.
I think what's good about the Russo brothers is they're looking at this like the old Star Wars thing.
You got to build up one movie at a time.
Feige is in charge. We're going to do what Feige wants. We're going to do what he wants. It's cool to get all these cool directors and stuff, but it's they're just the movie that these direct Joss Whedon and all them the movies that they're making are just a small piece of the story
of a big puzzle.
They can't try to take over and worry about their artistic vision. They have to they really have to listen to Feige. And if you think for a second that, that's just Hollywood destroying the artist, they're making movies based on comic books written by a guy who didn't care at all, who just wanted to sell these books to kids back in the 60s. Don't act like this is some great... Don't act like that, go back to making college films if that's what you want to do,
definitely 2016 will definitely be kind of the first year we get the battle of DC versus Marvel, because you got two DC movies, you got two Marvel movies.
It's kind of funny how we've got Batman versus Superman, but we also have at the same time Captain America versus Iron Man.
A lot of things going on in 2016, so it'll be...
I think Suicide Squad could go either way. I'm not super excited.
I think Suicide. I think Suicide. If they go a little bit dark, but not to go overly dark.
Well, they'll go. It's DC. They're going to go overly dark. That's their mantra.
I think that movie will play out the way of how Joker, Harley Quinn, and Deadshot. How those three kind of all come across on the screen. I think is the way that movie will go.
That's fair, yeah.
I think that's really the big three of that movie.
Yeah.
So if that movie storyline goes well and it looks like it's going well, obviously Batman and Superman is going to make money hand over fist for DC. It's going to be starting with the Suicide Squad. It's going to be telling DC's fate.
I could not care less about Independence Day 2.
It looks interesting. My guess is that that movie is going to make money its opening weekend. The thing is,
Probably.
does it have staying power afterwards?
I got to be honest with you. Like,
And I think
I liked the first one when I was a kid, but it's not a movie that I ever really want to see.
and I really
again.
think that
Like, it
movie's going to
wasn't
be
very
hurt.
good.
I really think that movie's going to be hurt with no Will Smith.
Yeah.
And he had to make a decision: Suicide Squad or Independence Day 2, because both those basically filmed at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think he's counting on Suicide Squad being the better movie.
Yeah.
That would be my.
And Jeff Goldblum looks really old. in
Well,
that
so
movie.
does Bill Paxton. I mean, not Bill Paxton.
Pullman.
Yeah, Bill Pullman. Paxton.
No one really liked Bill Pullman anyway. But
The trailer makes the movie
like
look interesting.
Independence Day was all about Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith.
Smith.
But not like the first one was that great. Like that was really the best thing about it is Will Smith is funny, Jeff Goldblum is funny. They're funny together. Like other than that, like the special effects were kind of cool for the time, but it's really not it does not age well at all. Like if you try watching it now, it's like ugh.
Yeah,
Like it looks terrible. Like the ideas are dumb. Like
We'll see. I mean, that movie will be hurt if
was
it
there
doesn't do
another
well.
movie that comes out this year that we were talking about?
I can't remember. I'm sure there's some other movies I'm missing that are
Yeah.
probably coming out, but those were the kind of the big ones I had on my list of possible movies that may or may not do well. 2015 was fun.
It was.
2016 looks to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Thank you, James, for joining me today. As always, you can find me on SoundCloud, Facebook, or my website, reggiestake.com, or on Twitter at Reggie's Take. Keep listening, and we'll talk at you later.